Hello and welcome to another edition of Vegas Bad Boys of podcasting. I'm DJ Impact. I got the Vegas Bad Boys here with me. If you're watching us live, hello, welcome. Make sure to throw your comments into the comment box. We're live on um, Facebook Live, Twitch, and of course YouTube Live as well. So, again, we appreciate you hanging out. This is a special edition podcast as we're going to spend the next 1 hour talking about the retirement. I'm sure everyone in the wrestling world is now familiar. Friday, the tweet was dropped. Vince McMahon says, "Hey, I'm 77 years old and I'm out." And I'm sure people have a lot of thoughts on that. And today, we just gonna give our personal thoughts on that and what that kind of mean uh, for us. You may hear a little bit of good, may hear a little bit of bad. It's an experience that's different for everyone. And if you're watching us live, make sure that you throw your comments in because we're curious to know what your experiences are. Just quickly for me, I tell you this: if I didn't have WWE that I found when I was a kid, I probably would be somewhat um, bored at this moment because I've been watching professional wrestling since a kid till now, and it's truly and really my entertainment. And not even just on WWE level. I'm talking from an indie level to the smaller promotions and Sin City Steve, even yes, AEW. Overall, um, professional wrestling, but it started from WWF, the vision of what Vince had, and from the point of where he took it. Listen, guys, I've been to over 15 WrestleManias and over 5 SummerSlams, and I've been to so many Raws and SmackDowns and everything across the U.S. and even Canada show, and I tell you, it's truly something that I never would have thought I would still be uh, a fan of that now because I meet so many people that go, "Man, you still watch that?" Man, I remember back in the day when it was The Rock or when it was Austin and all that. I'm like, well, "Why you stop being a fan?" Well, I just it started to get really stupid. All right, well, whatever. I don't think the John Cena era was a stupid moment. I think there were a lot of great moments during that time, and even where we're at right now, things are supposed to change, folks. I mean, if it stayed the same from the time I watched it when I was 6 to now, I probably would have been bored with it. So things do have to change. But hearing Vince's retirement was definitely something. Uh, I guess in some way I shouldn't have been shocked with everything that's going on, but still, I'll say this, and I'm done. I'll move over to Houston City. I will say this: I do think this is Vince's baby to a point where I hope that he becomes okay, that he be all right during this transition, because I do feel that if the man really has nothing to do and not a part of this business he's being a part of, he can really just dwindle away. I mean, what do you do when you take away something that someone invested their entire life into? So I don't want to hear, 6 months down the line, now he's hospitalized or dead because, he was doing okay, at least from what we know up to this point, so things like that could take place. But Sin City, let's start with you, man. What was your take when you saw the headline come through that he retired?
It's one of those things. I had the firm belief that Vince would pass on
Mm,
in
mhm.
gorilla position.
Yeah,
I thought that he would be in there until the absolute very end.
yeah.
And as Micah brings up, it's a strange coincidence that all of these different things have come out right before he chooses to step away.
Yeah.
Which I think realistically, the scandals and things of that nature that are coming out, we've talked about those, but the fact is he did a lot for professional wrestling.
Right.
You mentioned how it related to you directly. I think that it's something that, you know, I'm probably the most harsh critic of WWE on this show. However, I can safely say that without Vince McMahon, there is no professional wrestling landscape as we know it today. And he definitely kind of ushered in pro wrestling into a new era. And you know, the if you look at what was going on before different territories were consumed by WWF, um, it was just that regional type of promotions. I think that Vince was able to really capture lightning in a bottle, and quite frankly, it's it's going to take a lot
Mhm.
to fill his shoes.
Yeah.
Um, and yes, as I mentioned, I am one of the largest critics of WWE's product. But at the end of the day, it's kind of it hasn't sunken in necessarily that Vince is gone or anything of that nature. I think that it's going to be very interesting for us to see the fallout of this
Mm.
and where we go from here. There are already rumors that that Kevin Dunn is next to go or whatever. We'll see what happens with all the rumors. I mean,
Right.
realistically, everybody wants to try to break news, but the fact of it all is that yeah, we're in for quite a ride in this new era, in this new season, in this new chapter of
Yeah.
WWE and of professional wrestling as a whole.
I'm going to come back to you because, of course, we have a whole hour to talk because I do want to get your reference on what Mr. TK said right after his announcement, and I thought that's a little bit whoa. But before we go there, Simon Street, he's not on video, he is on audio. Just wanted to get his thoughts. What was your take when you saw the announcement drop?
Well, I, like yourself, was not surprised at all. Kind of looking at some of the information coming in, even though, with a sound mind, looking at it as, okay, this has not been substantiated, this has not been proven, obviously, in court. There's not even a court date, right? But as I stated before, because of, how much bad PR was happening, it was something that, as a company, you want to play it safe a little bit. And it didn't mean anything, bad towards McMahon, because I'm really, honestly, guys, I square with you. I'm cut in the middle. So on one half, I'm with you guys 100%. My first time like with wrestling was 6 years old, got invited to a friend's house to watch WrestleMania 3. And it was just an awesome experience. The first time I ever really had been exposed to it,
Mhm.
and it was a magical moment. And even if I could go back and be a fly on the wall in that moment, I could see how of a magical experience it was for myself. And since then, just like the rest of us, have gone on that road of learning, um, more about the business and being enmeshed into it. But on the other end of that, because I appreciate Vince McMahon, but on the other end, it's like, man, bro, you have such a huge legacy. And if this is, and I want to make sure I preface this, if this is proven to be true, and it's not so much of the hush money, it's more of like some of the accusations that are starting to come through the woodwork. Man, like there's some things that popped in my head. Like, number one, is the company going to play it safe and give this man his own Hall of Fame? He probably might not be able to go into the Hall of Fame, possibly. And I don't know if anybody else has thought about it. I was like, damn, man. I mean, are you going to get the same lines of Chris Benoit? You know what I mean? Like great, but we can't really mention you. Also, too, the take on it does for the company moving forward, not in saying in a negative sense. I think that they're powerful enough and they've made the right moves to more past this. But it's just interesting on how they're going to handle it in the future.
Yeah.
I think it was cool how, if you got a chance to watch SmackDown, having Stephanie come out and say what she said about her father, I thought that was good in taste. But, for me, like it says, there's yet to be determined what the truth really is with these allegations. So, I mean,
Right.
I'm gonna reserve my opinions until the facts all come out. But for right now, as it stands, I appreciate everything that Vince McMahon did. Wrestling and video games was the two reasons that helped me to not keep getting into fights and get suspended and expelled from schools. So for me, it was motivation to make sure that I had my shit straight. So for him being the reason for that, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Matt Michaels, man, Vince McMahon, he tweets out. You saw this drop on Friday. I mean, as soon as it happened, everybody on the chat boards was just was going crazy with just their own thoughts and their take. But what was your thoughts when you first saw this come through? Yeah, I mean, you've been following just as much as all of us.
Uh, yeah. Technically, being trained under a WWE,
Mhm.
developmental system,
Yeah,
everything that was passed down that you learned was by the book of essentially what the WWE wanted you to learn.
hmm
So, um, you got to think of it in a couple different lights. One, Vince McMahon uh, built a name for himself, right? So he built a company, but it was built off of the back of Hulk Hogan. And when you think about it, there was probably, I'd say 99% of the viewers had no idea Vince McMahon, the commentator, was the owner of the company.
right. Yeah,
So, when the company started as a national company, um, Vince McMahon really got more of the highlight when they went onto Saturday Night's Main Event because he was the lead announcer on that. And you saw him at WrestleMania only as a guy, welcoming everyone to WrestleMania. And
right.
that was it. That's what you saw of Vince McMahon. So he didn't have a huge persona. And at some point, I think it must have probably been the steroids trial that kind of peeled back that look. So people now were aware that Vince McMahon owned the company.
hmm
There was no internet. And if you paid for Dave Meltzer's piece of crap, uh, you know, but it's true. Back then, there wasn't any other contradiction. Whatever that jerk said, that was printed. And if you were stupid enough to pay for it, he could have told you Vince McMahon, was Jesus Christ. And it would have been like, oh my God, this is amazing. What a revelation.
hmm
So there was so much more secrecy and so much more fabrication because of the fact that there wasn't instant access. So all the stuff that was done in that time period that Vince, probably was, and as said, that he was, cheating on his wife and probably doing some of the top below at the time. You know, that was stuff that was going on, but no one knew about.
hmm
And so now you look further and you go, okay, he made himself part of the show. And when he did that, it was to counter WCW and what they were doing. And it just happened to work because he had the best person he could ever play off of, and that was Austin. You can argue that at that moment, Austin and Vince saved not only the company, but professional wrestling.
hmm
And the reason being is, remember, no matter what WCW was doing in the ratings, at a certain point when they got sold, Warner was not going to have wrestling on their station at that time because the executives didn't want it. So it could have been a very, very, dark place for pro wrestling. Um, so it was a build of over the years, and he did something that I think no one ever expected, and that was he went public. They're a publicly traded company. He doesn't, he could have stayed as a family business and not had to answer for anyone. there would be none of this going on right now if it was still just their family business, unless people were filing claims against him in court. So that was a big game changer too. And as you see that right now, Tony Khan, there ain't nowhere near going public with his company, because he knows if he has to go public, then he has to put out reports. And so that's the difference. WWE 20 some odd years ago now became a public company and run as such. And when you see these downsides, you see that, maybe the product, you're not enjoying it as much, or you think the characters aren't developed, or, you just don't like the overall storylines that are going on or whatnot. That's fine. That's your opinion. But they're making money hand over fist, and they're starting now to sell out their house shows and, sell them at a quicker, or at least sell them at a quicker pace. And the Raw and SmackDown shows are, selling tickets at a higher rate too. So, there is a buzz going on again, and wrestling ebbs and flows. And, the thing with pro wrestling is Vince McMahon was able to survive the hardest thing to survive, and that is pro wrestling has always been a fad. And he made it from a fad to a national entertainment company.
Yeah. You mentioned Tony Khan in your statement, and as soon as the tweet dropped from Vince, I don't even know if an hour went by that you get the message that says thanks. By the way, it must be great for Tony Khan to be following Vince McMahon, because I'm sure Vince doesn't follow Tony, but I could be wrong on that.
If you're smart, you would follow your who you want to one day compete with, even if it's unrealistic in Matt Michaels' eyes.
Well, let me say this, because even if that's the case, the comments were, thanks to you wrestling fans and your great support at AEW. I'm grateful now to be the longest tenured CEO in pro wrestling. I'll start with you, Simon Street. I mean, why the jab? If he is someone who looks up to Vince as someone that he wants to one day make his company become, why not be a little bit more gracious and maybe even say, Vince, congratulations on your retirement. Sorry you left. You created an empire. Good luck. Why did it have to be this?
Well, because first and foremost, we're talking about pro wrestling. First and foremost, come on, guys. That's what you do. In a way, he's giving insult to injury, but also reverence in a way. What's the number? They always have like a kind of a joke, like what's a king to a god, right? Well, until the god stiffs the middle finger and says, hey, well, fuck you. People lost faith in you. Even though he didn't take it that far. My point is that I'm saying like it obviously he knew it was going to get attention, right? He knew it was going to get attention. And I think in a way, he does show respect to Vince McMahon. I think he always has. Let's be real, okay? Yeah. You're trying to carve into the business that he made.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, you always say that every week, but if you just listen, you might hear it.
Sin City's eyes. Look at Sin City's eyes.
Look, man.
City was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Look, let me explain it then. Let me explain it. My point is, at the end of the day, that's what you do. Vince McMahon is no longer in a creative or corporate capacity for WWE. Regardless if AEW makes strides and capitalizes off this opportunity is not the point. The point is, if I was in Tony Khan's, I'd done the same thing. I'd say, hey, well, man, hey, best of all in your future endeavors, man. I got it from here. You want to stir up that pot. You want to take advantage of our eyes. We talking about the shit right now because he purposely knew to do that shit.
Okay, let me move over
fuck
to
that.
I ain't gonna fuck that. You the only one that's salty like a goddamn peanut.
Let me move over to you, Sin City. What was your take when you saw the tweet?
He's a troll.
Okay.
That's it. Honestly, that was the very first thing that came into my mind. I saw the tweet come in on my phone, and I laughed out loud, and I literally said, "He's a fucking troll."
Yeah.
And that was it. Thought no more of it because I knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Moreover, he knew what he was doing because obviously it's generated a lot of attention, as Simon had just mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know about necessarily the reverence to Vince McMahon, but yeah, it got a reaction. It's getting reactions, and we're talking about it right now. That's exactly why Tony did that.
I mean,
Yeah,
John,
fuck that. No, I'm just gonna real quick say fuck that, because you're talking about the same guy who is part of the Jacksonville Jaguars ownership. So if you think he knows what he's fucking doing, bullshit. This guy is
know what he's doing. You over there pissed off and stewing in your little box up there, bruh. He did exactly what he meant to do.
You know what? And for the disrespect that shows, for the person who apparently was a wrestling fan, and to go and to say that to someone who is retiring, you know what, Tony? I hope your fucking skeletons start coming out of the closet. That's it. Simple as that. Because wait, Sam. And if you want the bullshit, if you want the war to happen, then let the war happen.
Michaels, you're right about that, brother. But one thing that you forgot is at the end of the day, the shit was bananas. It was 100% bananas. And let's be honest here real quick. We make it seem like Vince McMahon motherfucking died. He didn't even fucking die. This dude is not like me, you, or any other of the guys get fired from your job and you got to fucking drink 40 ounces in a paper bag and shit. This motherfucker is going to be living his life. He's still sitting on shares. I ain't tripping. He ain't tripping.
All right. Feel you there. I mean, we did have Sean who that we came up on the screen and said, hey, definitely a very bad tweet for Tony. And I personally think when you have somebody who is at a top of an organization in the same business as you, I think you should be just a little bit more. I mean, if you don't have nothing good to say, just don't say anything at all. But I understand what you're saying, and Sid City saying that he was trolling. Let me ask you guys, where do you think, I mean, is WWE, as far as we know, do you think they're in a good place right now? Stephanie now stepping right into CEO. I guess we still have Nick Khan being the money guy there. I guess Triple H about to come over and help out with over in talent. Are they in a good situation? Could we say, or do we think the way him just leaving abruptly like this could be very bad? I don't know. Sin City, what's your first thoughts on that?
Yes. Realistically, I mean, so there are definitely two different ways of looking at this. But the fact of it is, I and so many people stopped following largely the WWE product, got disillusioned with it at one point or another. And ultimately, I'm looking at this as what will fuel a, no pun intended, paradigm shift. And hopefully we get, a little bit better programming on WWE television.
But define better. Everyone says
it's all subjective, Michaels. It's all fucking subjective, man. Let me tell you this. The reason why I like AEW is the reason why I like AEW and New Japan is because I like AEW and New Japan. Okay? Everybody likes something fucking different. Better is subjective. Okay? I'm saying better for me and for God knows how many millions of people stopped watching fucking WWE over the years.
Explain the objective. If it's subjective,
it's subjective, to you, Michaels.
If it's subjective to you, then explain why.
Okay.
Why did you stop watching?
Why did I stop watching?
Tell us why. Just don't say it. Tell us why.
His intelligence was insulted.
How much time we got?
Go ahead, brother. Testify.
Let's
testify, brother. Testify.
Let's start with this. I'm tired of having fucking 3-hour Monday Night Raws every week. Okay. And also, if you're going to be a wrestling show, have some fucking wrestling on your show. All right.
Okay.
SmackDown 2 weeks ago had less than 14 minutes of fucking in-ring action.
Were you
Okay.
entertained?
I tune in to watch wrestling. I don't tune in to watch promos. I like a promo here and there with my wrestling. But if you're going to label yourself as a 2-hour wrestling program, I at least want to see half fucking wrestling. All right. That's the big bulk of
show, buddy.
What's that?
We're a 2-hour entertainment show.
Cool. That's fine. And it still might not be for me.
Fox.
What's that?
They're on Fox, by the way. Which means that they're doing something because Fox gave them that time.
Of course.
So, you know, the thing is that everyone likes to say, oh, this, oh, that. But that's the thing. If you want to say you're being subjective and you're sick of a 3-hour Raw, how the fuck are you blaming the company for that? Because it's USA that's going, yeah, we'll continue to take it. The ratings might be going down, but we'll continue to take it. They could have told them years ago. Yeah, 2 hours.
Okay.
Well,
it still doesn't change the fact that I'm hoping that this acts as, again, a new chapter, turning the page a little bit. Let's change up the format. Let's change up something. If we get the same old WWE bullshit that we've had for the last couple of years when Vince McMahon's been micromanaging the show, then okay, you guys can continue to have fun on Monday and Friday. Okay?
Yeah, and you can watch shit on Wednesday and Friday. So that's all good.
Legit. Like that's cool. Like it's completely, it's wrestling is just like ice cream. Everybody likes a different flavor, man. That's all that it comes down to.
Yeah. But
Can I answer that one?
I was about to come just right over you. In terms of, do you believe WWE's in a good place with the abrupt leaving of Vince McMahon right now?
You know what? To be honest with you, and maybe it's just me, I am totally disillusioned with this whole time frame of things have been miraculously just changed on a 180 turn because Vince McMahon is stepping down. I think some of this was actually already going to be on a timeline anyways. I truly believe that Stephanie was always, at least in the picture, to be co-CEO, with Khan. You see what I'm saying? So I think that was already some steps that were being made. I think that the intern realistically before this happened was Vince was either going to die, RIP, or he was just going to be out of his fucking mind and had to step down immediately. Just facilitated it happening sooner than anything. But I will say one thing. For me, regardless of how you feel about WWE or whatnot, I think at the end of the day, the engine was well built. And so unlike a lot of other companies, they can afford to make mistakes and can put the resources to course correct it. So I do think that, a lot of the changes that you'll see is not what's going to be tangible. I think what you will see is in the next 5 years, what the product looks like, because I believe the product is on track, at least for WWE, to really try to shift over to try and get some of that demographic, that younger demographic. And if anybody can do it, it's going to be WWE because they can afford to make mistakes. Because let's be real, that demographic they're trying to chase after ain't no longer us. And then the kids are getting older. So they're trying to find that net for when these kids is buying the John Cena shirts at 5 and 6 years old. And then now they're like 4 years younger than Cora Jade and half the NXT roster. What the fuck they into, right? So now they're trying to find that way to keep them going. It was no different than what they did with us. Remember back when we was watching wrestling and shit, buying t-shirts, Hulk Hogan t-shirts, Roddy Piper, our asses grew up and they tried to find a way to keep us entertained. So I say all of that. I think WWE is going to be just fine. If anything, I think they're going to keep on track with what they were doing. The biggest thing that they're going to have to figure out that's going to be a falafel is what I mentioned earlier. What are you going to do about Vince when you mention it? When you mention his name, if these allegations are proven 100% factual, because that's going to be interesting, because just like us, in our hearts, we want to be able to give Vince McMahon the credit that's deserved. But if you look at it from a company standpoint, I mean, they don't be mentioning Chris Benoit a lot. And I'm not trying to compare allegations to murder. I'm just saying in the situation, controversy behind it. You get what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm just saying.
Well,
But
you know what?
then,
Simon, you did have. I don't think you. I don't think you. I mean, maybe you can see. I know we can't see you, but Sean did agree with you on here. He says as much that as he respect Vince for everything he's done, he says I am torn like Simon. I think it was poor taste for Vince to go on TV. I've had friends that go from company from quote allegations and quote, and then he walks on TV smiling like he is untouchable. So you do have somebody that that definitely agrees with you on that matter.
appreciate that, Sean.
And listen, I mean, this has got to be real tough, right? Because the first thing is that we don't know where any of this is going to go. I know from being in certain chats, apparently this move was made because something big is supposed to drop this week, and so he wanted to get in front of that. And so, hey, at least if that's the case, he was smart enough to not try to stay in it, knowing that all of this is going to really start to look bad for the company. But ultimately, it still becomes a challenge because sometimes it's hard to separate that which you grew up enjoying now to what you see that's a person being accused of.
You know what though? What's really interesting is that majority of the fans who have the issue with the WWE currently are the fans who love the Attitude Era. And what did the Attitude Era promote? Misogynistic,
objectifying women. I mean, racial boundaries being crossed, triggering people. I mean,
right. So if anyone who wants to pile onto McMahon for doing this stuff, you are complacent into feeding into the fact that you watched and enjoyed exactly a person basically saying, well, this is my values and morals, and fuck it, we're making money, so why not?
But let me add on this point, because it's something that I really was thinking about. It's interesting that you said that, because what ran through my mind is, I'm gonna name a couple of names. People who are huge fans of R. Kelly, right? Listen to R. Kelly all day, all night. They probably made a couple of babies off his track. But then when shit hit the ceiling fan, right? It was like, oh, I don't really be talking about R. Kelly all the time. People were a fan of Bill Cosby and loved his stand-up, all that shit. Then shit dropped with Bill Cosby, and now they don't mention it as loudly. I thought about that, and I said, you know what? Real talk. I think the biggest thing that stands out about these allegations with Vince is, and this is just my strong opinion, you tried to hide it. Do you see what I'm saying? And you did it for good reason. So that's almost a little bit of, if this is proven true, a little bit of deviance on his part. Like, bruh, you was just peeling out that money in hubris, thinking like, I can't be touched. And so now your ass got popped with your pants down. Now you got to try and figure this shit out, because let's be honest, as I think you were saying it, this is typical what happens. When you got bigger charges coming up, your company is real quick to cut you loose, real quick. I don't care how big the fish in the pond is, because it can, all depending on what it is, can be pretty bad and damaging for a company that's trying to transition into a new method of what they're trying to do.
Outside of that, Sean says, hey, but the Attitude Era was doing a different work 25 years ago. We as a society has made tremendous strides since then, and we have all learned that a lot of that was in poor taste. Facts. What do you think about that there?
But he followed it up with exactly what I'm saying. I could tell back then Vince wasn't a saint.
Oh, yeah.
We are not stupid. This kind of shit goes on in corporations. We are not stupid that this is all on the road,
Oh, yeah.
It's what is coming out is, by the way, an internal investigation by people who are board members, who are people who were from the sports and Hollywood world. Okay? So if anyone knows about keeping shit secret or fucking around or this and that, it's these people.
Hey, but real talk.
And the fact of the matter is that the Wall Street Journal is getting information leaked to them from potentially someone on the inside. Okay. So therefore, that's why this is even coming out. If that stuff hadn't gotten leaked out, just like everything else in our society, it keeps going on and business as usual. Okay. There's only one person who's gotten away with all this bullshit, and it's only because he was sitting in the White House.
But you know what? But you know what's interesting though, Michaels, that I find about a little bit of that statement though, is yes, we are starting to learn now, especially people in our age group. Maybe I'm gonna give us some credit from 40 to 50. We start to kind of see like, damn, bro, shit was real crazy back in the day. Well, what was allowed, right, and what was appropriate, or what was professional, what was sensitive, right? At the end of the day, he should have known. And I think that he kind of knew the writing was on the wall when shit first got leaked, however it was leaked, right? Because in this day and age, I'm going to be real with you. There's two people who can't work at Disney if this proves true. Him and Joey Ryan. Plain and simple. They both can't work at Disney because this world is not going to tolerate insensitive, male chauvinistic comments, this objectifying sexualization of women. I'm just saying, bro.
Working at Disney.
You hear about Joey Ryan? Oh, he got fired from Disney. He got fired from Disney.
I know that. Vince McMahon nor the WWE has any connection to Disney right now, brother. So
you said right now. You said right now.
Disney buys the WWE.
Okay, when they buy the WWE.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Sin City. I appreciate it.
Hey, you know what? Anything that I can do to hopefully corral you back in.
I guess so, man. Shit, I guess I'm a lost sheep.
You're starting to sound like the dirt sheets. You're starting to sound like these people out there who put up these headlines to get you to click on shit, like Vince McMahon is retiring, when in actuality we know he stepped down fucking months ago. True to form.
Yeah, true to form.
Yeah, I mean, so the fact of the matter is that that's another problem. A big problem is that most of the sites out there, most of these people are making money off of you, the listeners, or you, the viewers, because they know if they fucking put shit up there that can get you heated and get you to see this and go, oh, fuck, I got to read this. Oh, yeah. And then what's the thing that you can do on those? The comment section. And that is huge.
Got an opinion.
But that's it. And the fact of the matter is that it's lazy, disgusting reporting because it's not journalism. It's clickbait. And we should know better than this when it comes to all these fucking rumors, because the truth of the matter is, unless it comes out as truth and factual, then that's all the shit is rumors, okay? And accusations are still technically rumors.
But let me ask you this question though, Michaels. If somebody made a false allegation to you, let's say we had a Vegas bad boy rally and you went up to some dude in the bathroom and fondled him or some shit like that, some crazy shit, right? The difference between you, just hear me out. The difference. So
you're gonna go there. You're gonna go there. You're gonna go there. That's fine. You just proved the point. That was
but hear what I'm saying before you get emotionally connected to it. Okay,
it's not emotionally connected. You just said, "Hey, the scenario is some dude is saying that you're touching his dick in the restaurant." Come on, dude.
Michaels. We're on a podcast. Okay, I just made an example. If I'd have said a goat, it'd have been the same damn thing, or another woman. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, an allegation was said to you. The difference between you defending yourself and Vince McMahon defending himself are two big financial gaps. This man has the resources and the tools to be able to readily defend himself from all of these allegations. And because he initially stepped down to focus on these legal allegations, and then, I don't know what we're going to call it, but
they're not legal allegations, you moron.
It could be more.
Investigations are not legal.
Look, Michaels. I know you love just arguing because it tickles you pink, but I'm
arguing because you're an idiot.
Why are you yelling? That's subjective. Come on, man. Come on. Where's the love? Where's the love?
Apparently, in a restroom where a guy on getting fondled by. There's your love.
All I was trying to do was scale how crazy of an accusation in comparison to Vince McMahon. Some of these allegations that are going to come out of the woodwork are a little bit crazy. I'm going to be honest with you. You're a little bit crazy. Even back in like the 80s and 90s, some of the allegations were crazy. my apologies, Michael, if that really offended you. I was only just trying to pull the craziest.
No, and my apologies, because as American Bandman pointed out, in your example, I was doing the fondling. So I do apologize for whoever I fondled in the restroom.
Look. All I'm really trying to say is it really has to be that bad for it to have gotten to this point. That's all the point I was trying to make. It really had to get bad. And the timeline is very telling. For him to have gone for, I think when this first started about a month ago, correct? Maybe a little bit more, a month and a week, right? When it first kind of dropped. And then to now he's permanently stepping down. Those aren't very big indicators that, okay, we're going to fight this, or, hey, there's a lot unproven, or you get what I'm saying? It's not like he hasn't been down this road before.
There's nothing to fight right now.
So you don't think there's going to be a court case in about 2 weeks? Or not in 2 weeks, but the talkings of actual filing proceedings?
If they would have started filing, it would have already been public knowledge. They would know, and people would be coming out say we're filing. Gloria Aldrich, who's one of those fucking ambulance chasers, essentially, would be the first person going, "Oh my God, Vince McMahon is a criminal, and here are the 92 women who are coming after him." That's exactly what happened with Cosby. So you got to remember that, again, this is an internal investigation. The reason this is even out there and he's stepping down is because they're a publicly traded company and they don't want the stock to fall. That's it. Right.
And ultimately, he's just doing what's best for business.
He's doing best for Vince?
What's best for business.
Yeah, he's always doing what's best for business. Look, I wish him the best of luck. I just say, for me personally, Simon Street ain't going to judge a man until it's been proven in court. But I'm just saying right now, it looks a big question mark. It looks a little sus. So he's going to have to figure that shit out. I guess we'll find out.
Here's a great point, though, American Bandman made. And he said, it sounded like an agreement between consenting adults to me. If you ripped off the company, that'd be different. There's two different things going here. First thing is, there was apparently a consensual thing going on with whoever that woman was, who apparently then went and worked for Laurinaitis as well, and got a raise and hush money. So that is that example. There are other apparent allegations of potential forced sexual acts. Now, this goes all the way back to the 80s. This goes all the way back to 86, I think, is the first one. Mm-hmm. The thing is that with that, we're expected to believe that those are credible allegations. Now, they can be, absolutely. But until you file that report, that police report, that court case, all it is internal investigation. And if they found that money was used from the company to pay off people, then that could be levied against them. He'll lose all of his equity, which he still has something like 35% shares and 80% control. So that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, this will be a good part right here, just to let everybody know that coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to start our Wrestling Talk podcast, where we talk about all of the wrestling that happened this past week. So when we get off of this podcast, just make sure that you are following us, so that when the notification come through, you can hop back on and you get a chance to hear our take on this past week's wrestling. But just to kind of sum things up here, ultimately, this is something that is, I never thought I would have seen today, because kind of like what you were saying, Sin City, really, I thought Vince was just going to pretty much die in Gorilla. So to see that he decided, really come to a point where he was like, yeah, this is something that's I just need to get out of the way. And then and in some way I shouldn't have been shocked because at the very first time this came out, when it came out, the story first came out, he said, I'm going to agree with whatever the internal investigation comes up with it. So it's not even like he's gonna even fight it. He was just kind of like, okay. Like he just so with that, I guess you could have said the writing was already on the wall. But man, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with WWE going forward. I believe Stephanie. You know, I was wondering with all this. Speaking of the family, where is Shane in all this? Uh, you know, I don't know.
Shane's not part of the company right now.
Yeah,
not at all.
he fucked himself.
Yeah, I know
over at
that,
the
but I
Rumble.
mean, yeah, I just figure as family he would have something to do with something, but I guess
Yeah,
not.
the best thing to do is shut the fuck up.
Stay up. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you on
Yeah.
that one, Michaels.
Yeah. Let me do this. Sin City, what's your final thoughts on this whole process that took place? And I mean, what do you think going forward for WWE?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to new beginnings. If they're choosing to course correct, in my opinion, then great. If they are going to use this as an opportunity to make any changes to their program, great. If they choose to just keep going down the path that they've been going down, honestly, great. Because as we've talked about for nearly an hour, we've all been impacted by WWE, Vince McMahon, and the legacy that he's left. Now, obviously, these allegations are serious. They need to be taken seriously, and it's one of those things that, yeah, it's no laughing matter by any means. And unfortunately for him, friend of the show, Jim Valley, actually said it first and said it best. Vince screwed Vince.
Okay. Simon Street, what's your take, man? What do you think going forward for WWE? What do you think?
I think WWE is going to be just fine. I think WWE already knows what they need to do to try and acclimate to the climate that is what the viewers in a demographic that they're desiring want. Point blank, they're already doing it now. You're seeing a lot of people like Moss, Madcap Moss getting a push. You're seeing people like Theory getting a push. You're seeing damn near the thickest women's, women's division in NXT 2.0 that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, with potential to be able to be those people that come up into the main roster move forward. They're on a track basically to move forward with the company regardless. So I ain't even worried about it. The only thing I want to know, honestly, is Vince going to be in his own Hall of Fame? Because if he don't, I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should fucking put his ass in there, because that motherfucker was a rock star.
Okay. Matt Michaels, man, how would you want to go ahead and sum up tonight's topic?
Here's the final thought. I think you're all very, very stupid in thinking Vince McMahon is no longer running the company. He's not publicly the face of the company, but there are things called emails and telephones and all that kind of shit. And his daughter is the one who's in charge, and the VP of talent relations is his brother, is his son-in-law. So
you're right.
And Nick Khan also is, part of that inner circle. And let's face it, the honest answer, and I've said this for months and months and end, if they sell the company, it's going to be just like Lucas selling the company. Yeah. Kathleen Kennedy is still in charge of the George Lucas brand under the Disney label. So Stephanie and Hunter are going nowhere. It's always been that this is going to be the case. They're going to be running the company. And as simple as that is, Vince is going to still have input. He's not going to probably travel. We're not going to see him out in public. We're probably not even going to see him, most likely, if things go further and he gets more allegations, or there are any kind of suits that come forward or criminal charges. Then we probably won't even see him at WrestleMania, to be honest, because he is, by the way, a 77-year-old man. So on top of all this, way to go, Tony Khan. You fucking tried punking out an old fucking man. Picking on a grandfather, you piece of shit.
Hey, man, don't blame him. It was the coke that made him do it.
Oh, boy. All right, gentlemen. Thank you, everyone. We wanted to say thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for sharing your comments with us. And we thank everyone also who downloads the podcast and take a listen as well. We are about to end this particular podcast and jump into wrestling talk. So until then, we will see you next time. Take care. Happy wrestling.